right, welcome to the Diplomats. We are back on schedule. We've got Keith here. We've got special guest star Mikhalis Kamarites. Just ran the Summer Classic. You know him from winning all the major top boards, and his commentary lit a fire. The participants of Olympus, and so we're here for the sharp-edged commentary that he's legendary for. One sad thing is he doesn't really know what's happening in the game. But one good thing about Mikhalis is he picks things up extremely quickly. So, Mikhalis, as we go through the game here, the main thing to look for is there's an EG. It's sort of a slow EG, not dissimilar to what happened in the Olympus finals, except it's slower than what was happening there. So, Keith, if you'd go, just sort of flip to fall. The East has been largely, in disarray with things changing, mostly because Russia changes sides. He's with Turkey, he's with Austria, he's with Italy, then he's against them all. If you keep going, you can see sort of what happens here. We've got Turkey in the black. This is his first anti-Russian move. Anti-Turkish move, while EG sort of, gets off the starting gate. And sort of slow progress here. This is an Italian stab of Austria in fall 1902. This doesn't turn out well for Austria. It doesn't really turn out that well for Italy. Italy here thinks he's on side with Russia. Keep going. And then Russia turns right back around on Italy. Italy loses the 2. Some questionable tactics by Russia here slows him down. But if we go to continue on, Italy tries to make Nace with Austria. The EG sort of slowly continues. Spring 1904. We see this beautiful convoy of Belgium into Gascony. That's a Cedric special. And now Austria is about to die. If we go to fall 1904, Austria dies. Italy seems to be working with Russia. The big thing as we went to spring 1905 is who's going to work with Russia. And here, it appears to be Italy. And of course, where everyone was playing nice in the north, I sort of forgot to mention that in 04, Germany and England turned on Russia. And so Russia's kind of on the defense on the north, but is, doing pretty well. And what we talked about here was Russia has lost Serbia to gain this Italian friend. So, are they going to be interested in a build? It's a painful disband. What are they going to do? And so, also as we look at it, Germany gets into Piedmont, which didn't have to happen, but it did. And we are curious now. Of course, Russia's in the Black Sea. Is there a working wintergreen here? Doesn't appear that there will be an IT with 3 Turkish fleets and 3 Italian fleets. Mikhalis is the expert on that. Will Russia work with Turkey? We don't know. And then, of course, we see what's happening here. And then the other thing we haven't talked about it in this summary to you, Mikhalis, and by the way, this is for everybody just tuning in. You can see what's happening in the game. There was this Russian retreat to Skagerrak that they just can't piff, and has been annoying them and won't leave. So, all right, Keith, do you have anything to say before we roll into fall 1905?
Yeah, I think the EG has had many, many instances of poor tactics, and France is a great tactician, has no allies, but he's slowly dying. I think I personally would have convoyed London to Norway here and made Baltic come to Denmark and pop that fleet. It takes a year, but it's well worth it because now they have multiple guesses over and over. They can't contain it and make pressure here. But that's just what I would do. I'm just curious, do you think that self-bouncing and just trying to follow the fleet around is worth it? I mean, maybe for Germany because you'll have someone to back up on, but for England, I'd want that fleet going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem for both of them, right? And
Mhm.
the thing that it might not be a problem for is if one of them is starting to think, do I still need the other one? Probably not Germany. I think Germany is in no position to be stabbing England, but England might not be that sad if they're starting to think, I can probably get Paris here. What else is Germany good for? That point, the Russian fleet actually becomes very, very relevant.
Correct. And of course,
Thinking.
well, and Darcy as Germany obviously sort of crippled himself, never building a fleet, having very slow progress.
I thought he had a
So
great reason to build a fleet here. If he didn't want to leave Baltic, he could have built Fleet Kiel and just moved north and be like, hey, we got to pop this fleet. You don't have a build. You have to build London to go to France because I took everything out of France to go after Russia. So if England gets to build an army, I get to build a fleet. That seems fair.
also, we'll give grades and who do you like later, but I wonder if it changes. Looking at spring 1905, I will tell you that um, while Cedric and I are totally different personalities, Cedric as England has sort of been my pick, and I think Keith has really liked Russia's play. Russia, by the way, is Tim, who played Russia in the Olympus finals. If you remember, in
Okay.
the Olympus finals, he was down to 2,
Yep.
so he's having a much better game this time around. And then I think, Keith, you also liked Italy, if I'm not mistaken.
I've bounced. I like the Eastern powers. I always will pick an Eastern power in the event of a tie. I've picked Turkey and Italy and Russia. The East has been kind of chaotic, and right now it seems like everybody wants to be Russia's friend. So even though Russia's burned both Turkey and Italy multiple times, they'll never get on the same page. So I feel like he's got a little bit of advantage there. If he can split up the EG, I think Russia's got it. But if not, then it just depends on if Germany continues to barrel into Russia long enough for England to win. So I think it's England or Russia's game.
I don't
Italy,
hate that Italian position at all. I'll say that.
what's that?
I don't hate that Italian position at all,
I
actually.
picked
I will
Italy to
say that.
win last season just because everyone was attacking everyone, but no one was attacking Italy. And I feel like Italy had a chance to actually blow up because everyone's going to have to defend. And if everyone's burning their capital and their alliances, and you're just like, I'm just here, my old ally's dead, they're more likely to throw to you than they're going to throw to the people that are attacking them directly. So
Give me a game plan if you're England or Russia for what you want to do here, Keith. Not just for fall 1905, but how do you win? Like, what's your outlook?
if I'm England, I want to keep Russia and Germany as messy as possible and try to get Iberia. If I can get Iberia and maybe one in West, then I can just dive right into the German centers. I think that's my goal there. If I can accidentally have to cover something, that's always great because it gives you a little bit of momentum that doesn't cause any strife. As Russia, I would have moved to St. Petersburg a long time ago. I don't understand the moves around Livonia and Prussia. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think you can pull your Skagerrak fleet out to Norway and try to protect a little bit better that way. But fortunately, the EG has not prioritized popping that unit like I would. But I think he's
Well,
got
this
the.
is my this is my question.
Hard.
Is it an EG or is it really an ER? That might explain why he's not in St. Petersburg. That there might be some,
Well,
optimal time here on Germany. McAllister, what do you think for the Russian strategy?
I mean, Russia would love to work with England here, right? Like Russia, I think that this is a sort of point of no return against Turkey, and that Turkey is about to be attacked by the Windscreen. The South is sort of going to sort itself out, and I can't see Italy turning it around. Turkey has too many fleets, so I think the Windscreen should and will beat Turkey. In the north, Russia would love to work with England because if they're working with England, then Italy is probably always going to be the smaller power. If they're not working with England, if it's EG versus Russia, Italy is going to get a lot of growth with very little opposition, really. So I
Because
think
Russia
Russia
has to move units north to fight.
Yeah. So I think Russia will be desperate to try and work with England if they can.
So by the logic of McAllister, Italy wants Russia to be fighting England and Germany. That's their strategy to try and advance.
Yep.
Turkey and Germany are, well, Turkey's find a friend. That's Turkey's strategy. Germany's strategy is somehow get a dot.
They need a friend in the West. They need some kind of friend in the West.
Germany's strategy could also be hold on long enough that Italy attacks Russia. Because like Italy doesn't have to go west after killing Turkey, right? They could, especially if they're putting down more Balkan armies and Russia's pulled units north, they could then turn that into an immediate push north as soon as Turkey's like essentially contained into the corner. So at that point, a Germany-Italy alliance actually becomes very, very viable. So that's probably Darcy's best hope at this stage.
But an ER, in my opinion, would be a complete pivot just because EG has been pretty solid the entire time. In the past, three or four seasons, they've been attacking Russia. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it would be a mistake for England to work with Russia here. Actually, I think that Germany is doing exactly what England needs, and like you said, England should be going and taking Iberia. It's an ER is incredible for Russia. I don't think it's the right move for England, but you never know.
So I think there's 6 places we'll look at as we go to the map. One is just the north and what happens with Skagerrak and all those units up there. The other is Paris, the other is Marseille, and then we have this Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece situation. What's going to sort out here? So those, as we switch, Keith, to fall 1905, that's where I'll be looking at.
Now, if I was to do an ER here, I'd have to do it like I did with Ed Sullivan and take St. Petersburg. That's the only way I trust it. So, all right.
You can trust me, Keith.
Oh,
I just looked at Denmark. That's the very first thing I thought. Malicious support or not? Oh, I don't know. Plausible deniability. Ouch. Then I'm looking at Serbia. Wow. And now Marseille and Paris. Okay. All right. Keith, you take us. I'm this is a huge change in the game here. Very exciting. Keith, tell us what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the French tactics right off just because Rob's such a great tactician. I thought he'd prioritize getting Marseille by tapping Burgundy. He taps Brest because I guess he assumes he can keep Mid-Atlantic. He gets Marseille anyways, but it was more of a gamble than it should have been. As far as England goes, they have done that bounce a couple times. They don't have the units to cover everything. So I don't know if that's an educated guess by Russia, but it is definitely easily covered if it is organized. Personally, if I was Russia, I would tell Germany it was organized just because it's in my best interest to get Germany to turn around, though. So I don't think it's going to be a secret well kept.
I think it was organized. I think it had to have been.
And if Denmark was organized, then what happened in France actually makes a lot more sense because England probably tells France, I'm taking Paris, you've got Marseille. And you can then actually organize on both. So you make sure that Germany loses Marseille and you take Denmark.
My God, brutal. I think Cedric gets to 8 with that, which is very good. Question is whether he'll find a friend in Rob now in France. If conditional, this EG is broken. And if it's not broken, Darcy very much sits at the mercy of Cedric in this EG. Cedric kind of has it both ways. God, Keith, what do you think about this?
Do you think that's a good move by Russia? You could just move to Norway.
Well, we talked about that the last time.
I think if you can get England and Germany fighting, that's far better for you than just taking Norway.
True.
I think also the other thing that tells me this is potentially arranged is Russia has pulled away from Germany to do this attack on Italy, right? To back it out, to take Serbia. That really implies that either they thought there was peace with Germany, but none of the other moves say that, or that they knew Germany was less likely to be a threat. So if they know Germany is losing dots, the attack on Italy is a lot safer. If they think that Germany is going to be growing and putting units down, you really don't want to be starting that fight in the Balkans with Italy. So
Sure.
when you look at both sides of the board, I think that whether it was sort of tacit agreement or full out plan, it really suggests to me that Russia knew that Germany was going down here.
I kind of agree with that. And then also you can see that still Turkey and Italy both want to work with Russia. I just love the Russian position so much. If he was able to peel off England, that's amazing, because I think that was a year too early for England. Now you have to deal with a 3-center France that's going to be tough to keep pushing against, and Germany's going to be upset. I think Russia's just got faster tempo here.
Well, England might think they can square it away with Germany, or like, hey, I didn't know. And they may think that they can convince Darcy that simply Germany has no alternative, that Germany will go, well, I can't do anything better, so maybe I will Janissary.
This Russian play is sort of a masterclass of keeping a boot at the throat of two people who can't fight each other. Italy and Turkey are just fighting, and they can't not fight. And Russia has now hoodwinked Italy twice in this game, and it's only gone on 5 years over Serbia. Getting to stay in the black while Turkey supports you back into your center.
And trying to move away.
Trying to move away. I mean, I think he knew it wouldn't work. Quite well. I mean, there was a question of whether Italy would go to Albania here. We had talked about that. So
they went to Albania last season.
I mean, I feel like the other possibility is like the correct moves for a Wintergreen there is that Ionian probably should have been tapping Greece, Black Sea taps Con, and Russia supports Serbia into Bull, which is then guaranteed, barring something really weird like Aegean support holds Bulgaria.
We talked about that last time. It's like Aegean support Greece or Bulgaria. Can't do both, and most likely it's probably going to support Greece.
Yeah. So if you're trying to do that, but Italy is unwilling to like take the risk with Serbia or whatever, or maybe there was some sort of breakdown in negotiations between the two that convinced Russia that instead they should flip on Turkey, because these are not really the moves that a Wintergreen should be doing against Turkey, even just looking at the Italian moves by themselves.
Yeah, because Serbia supported Naples to Ionian. So yeah, I think I agree with you that he just assumed that this was just a transactional thing. It was not an alliance at all.
Yeah, those are not pro-Wintergreen moves from Italy. Those are just anti-Turkish moves, not really any sort of coordination on either Greece or Bulgaria, which wouldn't be the correct move, even if you didn't see this Russian move coming.
He does get a rebuild. I'm assuming we all agree he's rebuilding Army Venice. I mean, there really is no other rebuild worthy of it. But it's a real question. This is a horrible situation when you cannot be flexible with your positions, and Turkey and Italy just seem to can't be with these fleets. Turkey is not built for attacking Russia here, and neither is Italy. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I guess the other thing to think about is Germany had a choice here, still has the choice, theoretically. Could have disbanded Marseille, I guess, retreated it to Piedmont. But I can't view, in light of these events, that this is an anti-Italian army.
No, and the fact that it retreats to Piedmont rather than Burgundy suggests that Germany believes England. Because if Germany is thinking that Denmark was a stab, Marseille probably retreats to Burgundy there. And because it's not going to get blown up by Paris. Paris can't retreat to Burgundy. So the fact that Marseille's retreated to Piedmont definitely suggests Germany is still pro-England, whether or not England is still pro-Germany.
That is a great point.
That is a great point. Because, yeah, you would think Burgundy would make the most sense.
Yeah, if you're going anti-England, you're 100% going to Burgundy there. So either they've already decided they're going to be a Janissary, or they've decided that, it was all a mistake. We didn't know that Russia was going to support me in, and they've accepted the explanation. Either way, it's very good news for Cedric.
Cedric, I think, has an embarrassment of riches. Has to decide what to build with 2 builds here.
It's got to be one fleet to backfill north.
Definitely has to build a fleet. I'm thinking a fleet and army, but I could make a case for 2 fleets. What do you guys think?
Really depends where you see your next dots. Like, if you're actually planning to work with Russia, you probably don't put 2 fleets down, because Fleet Eddie, Fleet London is just completely anti-Russian. You don't need Fleet Liverpool. You've got 3 on Mid-Atlantic, and France has a disband. They've only got 2 fleets. Mid-Atlantic will now fall. That's now guaranteed to go to you. So you don't need Fleet Liverpool to fall through.
I think Mid-Atlantic's fallen.
Yeah, it's fallen.
That's true. Yeah, it's already there. But it's that you can keep channeling through, is my point. Like, the third fleet won't help in that area.
Army London makes sense then. You can probably convoy back to Gascony.
Yeah, the Army London is pretty good. And the Army London is very good if you want to be anti-Germany as well, right?
True.
Well, that was my next question, which is Germany here demanding 2 fleets? Is Germany demanding that? I mean, I know that Germany's not in a position to make demands, but what does Germany really doesn't want to see another army, right? But England can justify an army for so many reasons. Oh, well, it needs to convoy to Norway or a million things.
Yeah, I mean, Germany can try and make that demand, but they're in such a weak position. Bearing in mind they may have already been stabbed. I don't think England will be agreeing to it. If England wants to build an army, England will build an army.
I think they have to. I think that fleet does nothing if he builds a fleet.
The one thing the fleet does, if you put 2 down, is you probably go Norwegian and North, and you can probably then blow up Skagerrak quite easily whilst covering Norway. And so if you've decided that actually you really don't want that Russian fleet to stay there, the 2 fleets gives you an easy way to do that. Because at the moment, Germany has 1 fleet. Blowing Skagerrak up is really, really difficult. It's something you really want to do, but to do it in a way that you don't have a retreat to Norway or to North or to Denmark or to Sweden, it's a real pain in the arse. And especially if Baltic is busy defending against the Russian. So the 2 English fleets would let you go and blow that up.
Secondary question to both of you. It very well may be that this was arranged. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Even if it was, should England work with Russia here? Or should England just let Germany bump up tons of units on the line while I continue on Iberia, make nice with Germany, maybe give Denmark back for a turn, or no, advance against Germany here, work with Russia? What should England do?
Being in a similar game recently, I would say try to keep Germany on side as long as possible, especially if Russia has all that growth in the south. Even if you're making inroads with Russia and saying, I'm not going to mess with you, don't mess with me, but I'm not going to attack Germany. I'm going to keep Germany alive as long as possible because you just don't have any pressure otherwise. And I'm going to attack France. And we'll see where we end up in the end of the game. So,
before I answer, what's the end date on this?
1910. And in general, Olympus is an outlier. 10 centers has, I think, won almost every Nexus main event. And we're now in season 9.
So England is on 8 centers. Russia is on still 8 centers, right? They haven't gone up.
Correct.
I don't
8,
think
8.
Yeah, you don't need to stab Germany yet. As long as you can keep Germany containing the Russian whilst you go down, you've got 4 or 5 years to take those French dots, and then Holland will be yours whenever you want it. There's just no rush.
Okay, French disband. If France was, does it make a difference to you if England leaked the orders and maybe is there a pro-English disband here for France?
Spain. That's that's throwing.
Yeah. There's a pro not to English disband. I think that regardless,
semi pro-English disband here.
Outside of losing a fleet, no, it's Gascony.
I assume Gascony goes.
Yeah. It's Gascony, because if you do Marseille and Germany doesn't pull Piedmont, then Gascony can get blown up, which is just awful. So it has to be Gascony.
God, I think I have to disband Piedmont if I'm Germany.
Yep.
Right? Is there any unit otherwise that he could afford to lose? Prussia, maybe?
Prussia.
Even then.
You could make an argument for Baltic Sea, right? You
Yeah.
could pull Berlin back to Kiel, Prussia back to Berlin, disband Baltic. I mean, it's awful.
It's awful.
But yeah, it's got to be Piedmont realistically. And the problem is that once you disband Piedmont, what center are you ever taking in the rest of this game?
You rely on the munificence of England to put you back into Marseille.
But England's probably pitching that I can put you back into Marseille, yeah. And
yeah, but if Piedmont's gone, you definitely can't get that, right?
yeah, but on the same token, if you have Marseille, England can just take that from you later. It's a temporary build. So
No, you got to get Denmark. You got to convince England to give you Denmark.
Have to have Denmark back. That's the only thing. Or Norway. It's not great, but
it's kind of a painful retreat, right? You know, like if Denmark moves theoretical, I mean, well, first of all, Russia could support Denmark, but even if Russia didn't support Denmark, and so I mean, it's hard to know what to do. All right, fine. Let's look at the builds and see. I think we're calling Fleet Eddie, Army London, disband Gascony, Army Venice, and reluctantly take away Piedmont, but maybe something else.
Marseille. Double fleets. So maybe it was an accident. We'll see. Or accident. Wait, what did the that's a good way to keep your German ally. I think that was probably smart if you want to keep Germany on side as long as possible. Which I think
yes and no, but Picardy can convoy to a lot of places once he's in the North Sea, and all the rest of it. Okay, so I'm just presuming here Edinburgh goes to Norwegian, London goes to North Sea. They dance around Skagerrak for a turn. Maybe Sweden goes to Norway, Baltic to Sweden. I don't know. What do we think will happen up there in the north?
I mean, yeah, you're definitely going Norwegian and North. Probably Denmark supports London to North, and then in theory, if you're giving Denmark back, North supports Denmark to Skagerrak, whilst Norwegian covers Norway, and Germany can backfill Denmark. In theory,
in the fall.
Yeah.
In the fall.
But then England should have a play on something, right? Probably Marseille.
Maybe.
Maybe.
To really have a play on Marseille, you kind of need Munich to support Picardy to Burgundy.
Yep.
And then you can support yourself to Gascony as well. Mal can cut Spain, and then you've got.
Well, can't Paris do that? Or you mean Paris should take Gascony and
to take
Burgundy to Burgundy? Well, we know Cedric loves Gascony, so I think we can state for certainty Paris goes to Gascony here.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't really be that Munich can go to Burgundy here. I mean, I guess it's theoretical, right? Berlin to Munich, Prussia to Berlin. Maybe Germany goes to Burgundy?
Sounds like a nice way to get yourself killed by the Russian.
Well, it's pick your poison of death, right? I mean,
I think Germany is already picked, right? Germany is fully aboard the England don't kill me train. That's the German game plan.
Well, we do know this. Regrettably, I know it personally from the top board of the Summer Classic. Darcy has secondary goals if he can't win, which is to survive, increases DBNI points, totally legitimate style of play. So survival means something to Darcy. and that might be a factor in. I mean, it's unusual to say that a 5 center power is a janissary, but it almost feels that way. You tie up the Russians.
Effectively, it is. Yeah. And the moment that Skagerrak fleet gets blown up as well, then Germany no longer has any potential help against England ever. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in doing that. In that once Skagerrak's gone, the only Russian fleet maybe would be a rebuild. Maybe they just build an army for flexibility. And then it's just a straight fight where you're already committed against Russia and England has everything behind you ready to stab as and when they want. So you are effectively a janissary in that position regardless.
I mean, what should Germany do? I mean, it's just a total crap position here. I mean, you can't dislodge Silesia without a retreat to Bohemia, or Galicia, or you're not taking anything. So, like, support holding, is that the play?
If you could somehow flip Russia, that's the play, right? Like, I'm not sure it's really in Russia's interest to do it, but maybe you can say Russia, hey, Livonia to St. Petersburg, I'll convoy Prussia to Kiel, and I'll go for Denmark, and you can go for Norway, and Silesia can go down to Bohemia to help you in that fight against Italy. And maybe, just maybe, there's a way of getting peace. I struggle to believe it's what's going to happen. I give it like a 1% chance of happening, but that's probably the only way back into this game for Germany, is if they can somehow make that sort of deal.
They can put Russia into Norway. Then they can't take Denmark back. They got to take. Well, I guess Russia could just walk into Norway and they could take Denmark back.
Yeah,
is the way to do it. And they convoy back. Then it's sort of like there's still no German growth other than Denmark, but Germany would have to build a fleet, which I think would be helpful to Russia.
Versus the 6 English fleets.
The 6 English fleets are somewhat tied up by the French, though, right? And if Germany is not helping kill France, then France is going to be there existing to bother the English. And it's not like France is going to be taking centers from Germany in that position. They can only really harry the English.
There's also other problems too, right? This is like if Germany dislodges Denmark in the spring, it's very likely it just goes to Helgoland, right? And then Holland is probably toast, and it's a trade-off.
Yeah, you'd have to do it in fall.
You'd have to do it in the fall. England. Should England make a play for Western Med here? I mean, we see this happen typically in a spot like this, but I mean, let's see. Spain can't support Gascony here, so which is why I thought Gascony would go, so at least Spain could support something.
If we know all the tactics, he's probably going to tap Brest here to ensure that it ties up the units a little bit longer. And then most likely take Marseille back in the fall, or try to, or at least support himself there.
I don't think he goes for Western Med. It just makes sense to get Gascony first, right? And then Iberia falls, I assume.
I don't think Cedric has the fleets to go for Western Med right now. I think getting rid of Skagerrak is the bigger priority, and then he can pivot down afterwards.
Yeah. Once those builds have come in, it looks like Cedric is going to go for the sort of slow progression against France, which I think is fine. Like, all you need is Munich exports Picardy to Burgundy, and France will be dead at the end of next year.
Yep.
Italy, rough spot. We kind of avoided thinking what Italy should do here. I
gave Italy such good grades for the spring because I was like, oh, Russia moved to Bohemia and he got into Serbia and everything looked great. And then, yeah, we'll follow.
I mean, he can support hold Trieste. Okay, I've identified that as a potential play for Italy to not lose. You can support hold Trieste. I guess
The
it would
only
come
play
from-
Italy has left now is to somehow try and blow up a Turkish fleet to make them rebuild it and let them rebuild it as an army. If you can somehow find a way to do that, then maybe you can get some sort of IT going. But at the moment, there's too many fleets against too many fleets. That doesn't work.
And Nikita is an extremely defensive player, so I don't think he's going to want to get rid of his position.
I guess we'll just see Eastern to Ionian supported by Naples and support hold of Trieste. I really can't come up with a better game plan for Italy right now. It's lay and pray.
Khan goes to Smyrna, Ink goes to Smyrna. He's probably going to southbound. Yeah.
I mean, support holding Trieste is only good if that's what Russia's actually attacking. If Russia's trying to shift around or Greece comes up to Albania or whatever, that doesn't work anyway. So you sort of have to try and plan to... I'd probably support holding Trieste, but actually I might be defending Albania. I might be defending Tyrolia. I might be doing something else. So Italy doesn't really have the units to actually protect Trieste for more than a turn if Russia and Turkey really want to go after it.
I haven't seen what I would call ingenious plays by either Russia or Turkey, more just lurching for the opportunity. Maybe they do play for position in the spring here, but it's another problem for Turkey, which is at the mercy of Russia, right? You got a fleet in the Black Sea, and you cannot get Serbia unless Russia wants you to.
I mean, last year, he looked like he offered him Serbia twice. He tried to walk in twice, and Russia bounced him out both times, once with his unit and once by supporting Italy in. So it's very difficult.
What do you think about this McAuliffe suggestion of? Oh, this was your suggestion. I guess Khan to Smyrna. I mean, there's got to be some deal with the Russians. Like, look, if I can't get Serbia here, and you want me to position, you have to move out of the Black Sea, man.
Let's go back to Sevastopol. Yeah.
You have to do that. And Russia's like, well, I can't do that because you have a fleet in Khan and all the rest of it.
Why would Russia ever walk out of Black Sea here, right?
He's done it before.
I mean, like Turkey didn't say you've got to walk out, and Russia didn't say or what. What can Turkey pitch? Oh, I'm going to work with Italy. Just ignore all of our fleets that are busy fighting each other, and Italy will come against you.
Does Turkey go full trust mode here? Greece to Albania, Bulgaria to Greece.
No, I think the better trust mode would be Greece to Albania, Aegean to Greece, Con to Aegean. Get all of the fleets up on Ionian and the unit in Albania to attack Trieste, and pitch to Russia like Serbia takes Trieste and I backfill Serbia, that sort of thing.
I don't see Nikita doing that.
God, with Russia, the jackal, I don't know if you want to do that.
Especially if you burn Italy twice and he's positioned on you to get Italy to get out of position twice.
But this is the only way Turkey can grow, because that way they can take this. That way they can take Trieste in the fall,
or Serbia, or something like.
Because you can't work with Italy because you have 4 armies.
No, Turkey would get I'm assuming Serbia goes to Trieste.
Serbia goes to Trieste
in the fall, yeah, and then Turkey would get Serbia.
If it was slightly later in the game, there is a way that you can do an IT despite all these fleets because of the time limit, where you could say like Ankara to Armenia, Con to Ankh, Aegean to Con, force Black Sea, attack Russia. And it would be somewhat credible because Italy wouldn't be that afraid of Turkey if Turkey doesn't really have time to turn back around and attack them again. But 06 is probably a year too early for that to be viable. You're sort of looking at like full 07 for that sort of play. So maybe Turkey can just try and stick around on 5 until then. Like grow late on is a very viable top board strategy for Turkey. We've all seen that many times where you just sort of stay in the corner, don't die, and just go for it in the last few years. So the trick then is to make sure you're not overextended and easily stabbed in the meantime.
Okay. It's time for grades. Austria dead, no grade.
F.
No.
To pay respect.
Keith is a very harsh grader. Austria is flat, Keith. Austria should at least get a C under your system for being at 0 and then going to 0. England, 2 builds, 1 expected, 1 unexpected. or expected. We don't know. Builds 2 fleets. Appears to have Germany on side. Appears maybe to have Russia as a friend. And has potential growth here against England. Quicker if he has Germany on side, but we don't know if he does or doesn't on that. Keith, what do you grade Cedric under your enormously complex system?
He has a B minus. I think the tactics in the spring and the fall have been completely messy and chaotic and extremely unnecessary. But his position and his build speak that he's actually doing pretty well. A couple more fleets and he'll pretty much have supremacy. So B minus.
I'll give him an A. I think the fact Germany didn't retreat to Burgundy suggests that he has Germany still diplomatically in his favor. And if he can take Denmark whilst keeping Germany on side and thereby reduce Germany to essentially a janissary role without upsetting them, for all credit to that. That's a winning move on a top board. So you can't really argue with that. I'll give him an A.
God, I don't want to give him an A, but it's an A. I mean, how you can rank this a B minus is beyond me, but we will discuss that in a minute. Okay, France is great.
I would have.
France was going to lose Paris or Marseille this year. They ended up losing Paris. There was nothing that could have been done to stop it. Maybe communication with Cedric, maybe not. The only downgrade, I don't really, I mean, I second guess attacks in the spring, which McAllis didn't see, but the only downgrade for me is he still can't find a friend. But is that really his fault? So I want to go B plus.
It's a D plus. He is continually shrinking. He has no allies. Tactics remain strong, but tactics don't win you the game. He's not getting out of this position anytime soon. So most of his grade is the fact that England did not build an army and Piedmont got disbanded. So it gives him a little bit of life for another year.
I'll give him a C plus. I think he had a choice on whether to go to try and defend Paris, to defend Marseille, even to attack Brest, which might have worked in some circumstances. And I think he chose correctly. I think that you want to unbalance the EG, so you make sure that it's Germany that isn't building. Like, if England gets everything and Germany gets nothing, maybe EG breaks up, and that's probably your only hope at this point as France. So I think he made the correct decisions there, and he got the German disband as a reward. So yeah, I mean, it's not great. It's not a good position. It's still pretty horrible, but I think he sort of made the best of a bad situation.
Okay, I'll go first this time with the German grade. I'm going to harken back to one of the best action movies of all time, Rambo and Rambo 2. And if you remember, John Rambo says, just remember, you drew first blood. Germany attacks Russia here in Sweden, gets this retreat. Nothing has gone right for Germany. Nothing has gone right for Germany in this game. And then after that stab, it's gone from bad to worse, especially the fleet in Skagerrak. Now can't even keep Marseille, can't even convince Cedric to keep him, to support Oldham in Marseille and forego Paris this year. I mean, why did Cedric really need a build when Germany does? That somehow these questions don't ever seem to get answered in diplomacy. But as a player, I'm like, all right, let me pause the recording here. You guys keep going here for a second here. Give grades.
Oh,
okay. I've got a wild animal situation. Go ahead.
I got a D minus for Germany. I just feel like the position is pretty bad, and that you have to janissary for the lesser of two evils, and whichever one can get you back in the game. And if I was Germany, I'd probably be trying a coalition of the damned, as McAllis would say, and try to get Italy and Turkey and France to all work together and try to rebalance the board in my favor, and while trying to not piss off my neighbors as much as possible, which is a shot in the dark. Pretty much the only saving grace is that he did not get a English army here. So
what was that grade?
D minus. And the fact that he moved Berlin to Silesia, Silesia to Bohemia, Bohemia to Tyrolia, Tyrolia to Piedmont, Piedmont to Marseille, and then end up disbanding that army is very anticlimactic because that was the whole story of this game, is where this army was going, and now it's dead.
As my dog was facing an elk attack, I failed to give my grade, which is a D. McAllis.
For Germany, last time I was on, I told you about that wonderful thing in the British education system where we have a grade below an F. We have a U for ungradable, and I kind of think that that's what that is for Germany, because that is horrendous. There's no saving grace on this, right? Like, the war with Russia was a bad idea that's gone badly, and you've lost a lot to England, and you're not playing to win. If you're angry at England, you retreat to Burgundy, you try and turn it around and work with Russia. And the fact that they didn't do that suggests to me like they're just going to sit here and be a janissary and play for second place or third place or whatever, which is not really what top boards are for, right? So there's nothing to salvage my grade for Germany there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't know if Darcy is playing for something less than first place, but I would strongly, there's a lot to be gained from playing for first, even if it means you get 0. You put yourself in challenging situations. You have new diplomatic hurdles you have to cross that maybe you hadn't faced before, and working out it and promotes creative thinking. These are all things that I lack. And it's important for me to challenge myself in those ways too. And I don't think Darcy's given up, but he's in a tight spot. So we'll see. All right.
There's also a big reputational risk to always playing for second on top boards, because if I'm on a top board and there's a player on this top board as well who I know is gonna like be a doormat for somebody else, that's just a reason to kill them early, right? Because I don't want that like as a wild factor on this top board. That's a factor that needs to be removed from this top board, because that's a 1 in 6 chance that they're a doormat for me, and a 5 in 6 chance that they're a doormat for somebody else. That's not good.
This was my historic critique of Fair and Jane, which is like Bill Hackenbrack stabs Farron, but on a top board, and Farron's goal is to be second at that point, and doesn't turn around. Same thing when Katie stabs her on Summer Classic board, I think 2 years ago. So, I mean, people do play that way. It's frustrating to be on board with those people, but it's not illegitimate. It's not wrong. It's just not the way I think you should play a top board. All right. Italy. Sort of in Serbia, look good. McAllis, even like the great McAllis, loved the position. So it's a good spring. And then a horrendous fall. Keith, your grade?
It's a C. The spring was amazing. It was near perfect. And it was an F for the fall. So we kind of averaged out, and I hate that my spreadsheet gave him a C because the end state was not as good as it should have been. But I feel really bad for Philip because he's such a good diplomat, and I feel like he's just spinning his wheels, and even his tactics show that he's not getting any traction at all.
I can only give it a D, because in full, if you thought you had the wintergreen, there were better wintergreen moves on, and if you thought you didn't have the wintergreen, then there was an attack on Budapest on, or something other than what they did. They sort of chose a path of neither, and neither doesn't win you games.
It's a D. I mean, I don't know why it's not an F. I guess it's a D because he didn't technically lose anything. But, fine. Russia's grade. Russia gave up Serbia, took it back, maintains a fleet in Skagerrak, no pressure on St. Petersburg, and has thwarted the war from Germany in the Black Sea. Let us not forget that move in the spring. I don't know how he has a single friend, but they both have someone has to work with him in the South. Germany is not a friend. Maybe England is not a friend, but doing well. If you just saw the position on the board without knowing the diplomacy, you'd love him, or you'd love it. So, man, McAllis, you go first with your grade here.
I'll give it a B. I think that Denmark's a clever way to try and disrupt the EG. It can it has a risk of backfiring horribly if Germany just becomes an English janitary. That's actually really bad for Russia. But disrupting that AG is the logical thing to do on the top board, and they found a way to do it. So good job. They've got Turkey and Italy enmeshed in a way that is almost impossible for them to unenmesh themselves from, which is just very good strategy in the south. And tactically, their position is solid. They don't have the easy growth that England has, so they're probably not the favourite. England is definitely ahead at this stage, but they're in contention, and all it will take is some good fortune and something going their way on one of the two theatres, whether it's in Germany or in the south, and they have a path to win. So yeah, I'll give them a B.
It's a C for me. Flat. Really made no progress over last year. Made a friend just to burn a friend. You're just pissing everyone off on the board to the point where when the end game comes, you're going to be the last person they choose. So I think, yeah, it was great burning Italy the first time so you could break up the AI, but there was really no reason to do it this time. If you want to be with Turkey, just stay with Turkey. So flipping sides over and over again, I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I'm a B plus. Here's the reason why. I think it was arranged with Cedric. I think the move would have been to Norway just to keep a unit out of Norway, and you know, whether or not Cedric went to Norway or not. And I think it would be bold to do that malicious support. So I don't think it was malicious. I think that this was agreed. I mean, Denmark could have been covered other ways. So strange that happened. So I give credit to Russia there, which totally eviscerates the German position against them. Not that it was any good.
If I'm Russia and I would get offered that, I'd probably spin it back to Germany and give Germany the center, make him de-escalate. Like, I think that's just better.
I didn't give him an A. I gave him a B plus. It was good. Do I think his shenanigans in the South will work? They might, given 6 fleets, you know, and he's landlocked. None of those 6 fleets can touch the land, you know, right now. So maybe he's got 5 years though, so we'll see.
For all his effort, he gained nothing, and we'll see next year if they actually.
He didn't lose anything.
No, that's what I said. It's a C. He's completely flat. So if things happen and it shakes out next year, he'll get a really good grade next year.
Look, under your grading system, he lost Serbia, and you're like, I love it. So, like, if he had lost Serbia here and gained nothing, would it still be a C or would it be higher?
I don't think he would have lost Serbia. They would have taken Bulgaria. If they were still together, he would have been flat, and he had a solid ally that is also an East, which means Khan and Ank will probably be rushing fast. I think he had better growth through Turkey here, but I'm not doing conjecture. I'm just saying.
Wow.
That's
okay, Tim. He doesn't like you. It's personal. We know.
I'm a Russian player.
We've confirmed.
Very personal in Russia.
Turkish grade. Lost the Black Sea. Lost Russia in the spring, and worked with Russia in the fall as an Italian fleet in Eastern Med. Having said that, how many options did he have? Can you really grade him against, you know, taking bad choices when he doesn't have a lot of great choices in front of him? I don't know. I'm going to grade him a B. Keith, here's time for the F. What do we got for Turkey?
If you're a good player, you make your own options. But I love Turkey as well. It's a C minus, mostly because he's been in the same position since Austria died. He's not getting out of that position anytime soon. It's all positional. Having one in East, one in Black, not fun, but assuming that he doesn't get double crossed by Russia again, hopefully Black goes back to Sev, which I wouldn't hold my breath for. So
I'll give it a C. I think there was nothing he could do, and therefore there was nothing he did do, which in some ways that's not good, but in other ways, as I said before, Turkey top board, sit in the corner. 5 centers is a really nice spot to be sat at as Turkey if everything starts going mad elsewhere for you to make late charges. It's only 05. Turkey doesn't need to be growing at this stage. They just need no one else to really run away with the game. And at the moment, like England had a good year, but they're only on 8. They're not running away with it yet. They're not about to take all of Iberia, at least for another year. So Turkey's position is fine in terms of top board and their potential. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just they're there and hoping for things to go their way later.
All right, that was fantastic. All right, Keith, who will win season 9 Nexus main event?
Well, I said I wouldn't choose England until another fleet came off the board, but I think just having Germany fully committed and being able to take things from behind the position is just so much better. So I'm going to pick England.
It's really hard to argue against England in this position. It's just such a good position, especially because I think they have a German Janissary. So yeah, I will also pick England. Like if they don't have a German Janissary, does it open the door for Russia? Maybe. Does it open the door for Turkey? Maybe. Does it open the door for anyone else? No. So it's probably England, yeah.
And even if Darcy is playing for second and wants those DBNI points, then just put him in as many dots as you can at the end, as long as you're ahead.
Yep. The news gets worse. I have to go with Cedric also. That's 3 for England. I think the difference for me is England's only real enemy, as best I can tell, is France. So, Russia really wants to work with England. Germany really wants to work with England still. And Russia's got a lot of enemies, especially in the South. So on a top board, your friends matter. We've seen that over and over again. It always is close at the end, no matter what. It's never a cakewalk. But right now, it's still England. Okay, in our remaining time, Keith, you're going to have to share your spreadsheet. It's a bonus for our listeners on how you grade, so our players understand how they can get better grades from Professor Wurstel.
You share it?
If you share it, I'll add it to the stage.
I moved it to that screen, but I guess I have to share it again. That should be it. So I analyze the tactics, and I give a point for tactics if I like the tactics. In the end, if you're in a good position, I'll give you a point for a position.
Well, hold on. We have the columns, and I don't know if that's the X or Y axis. Spring tactics, spring position, spring
cooperation. If you're actually working with an ally.
Movement. Well, so you're trying to you put mathematic certainty to the game of diplomacy. Okay, then you do the same things for the fall and winter. How many builds you got and build numbers? Okay, so now knowing that you do that, well, how do you rate these individually?
So I grade the tactics just straight on. I give a point for each thing except for builds. Builds come up and down, but
how do you get a 1 for a tactic?
If I like them. Do I like the tactics?
So it all comes back to subjectivity. Okay.
Do I think the tactics are solid? I mean, if the tactics were not great, but they gave you a good position, you still get the point for position.
Do great tactics mean that you agree with them, or a great tactic something that
I agree with them? That I think that was a solid plan. Doesn't matter if they pan out well or not. Your position should be: is it a good position? Germany's not in a good position, did not get points. Do I like the position? Cooperation, pretty much, do I see you working with somebody else? If the more you work with someone else, the more likely you are to be in a better position in this game. And then movement, how are the units moving? Are they moving away from you, or are they moving towards you? And if all the units are moving away from you, you'll get more points for spring movement. And then the same thing in the fall. Build number is pretty easy. If you get builds, you lost builds. And then the build results, I'll give you points. I'll give multiple points for if I like your builds and if I like the builds that other people did that will affect you. And that's the only place that you really get negatives and positives is during the builds.
Well, what do the numbers equate to the grade? I see 7 positives for England, and it's still just a B minus, and he's
Correct.
blanking the board here. How? Okay, so explain the numbers now.
Well, yeah, I just gave you a point for each thing. I just wanted to make sure that the scale was
You
big
start
enough.
at what? You start at an F?
I started an F, and then I go to the Ed Sullivan A triple plus exclamation point.
Okay, so 7 points is. Oh, okay, we got it right here.
Because that's your highest grade, so it's going to be my highest grade. So, and there's been some seasons where it's just such phenomenal play, and we're like, oh, that's an A, and I'm like, but someone did a good move last season, and that was an A. So, I'm trying to make sure that not all A's are the same. So, most scores are going to be pretty low.
McAllis, what do you think of this grading system?
This feels like an awful lot of maths to justify something that's completely subjective in your own opinion anyway.
I just want it to be I was already doing it somewhat mathematically in my head with just the tactics and the cooperation, and I wanted to break it down a little bit more in my head. So,
can you get more than a 1 for movement or tactics or anything like that? If you're like,
I don't
this is
get more than a 1.
amazing. It's amazing. It's the best tactics I've ever seen.
Well,
They invented something on the diplomacy board. That's still a 1.
Right now, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. It's subjective.
Okay, we'll wait for Fleet Ireland to make it to 2 points one day.
Must be probably a Jordan Connors thing.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure our players are grateful. They have a lot of work to do to get those 16 points. I don't think it'll ever be attainable under this system. I think you have to get like 7 builds, and
You've got experience getting about 7 builds recently, right, Ed?
I do maybe that one, but I still messed it up. It's always I always leave a little in the tank. I never leave it all out on the field or the pitch. I always have to make it in doubt, but that was fun. 7's possible. All right.
At the beginning that the scores are going to be lower for sure. Leaves room for improvement.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, McAllis. Thanks to the players, and enjoy your time playing this game. We'll be back.